Have you ever really thought about how the smallest businesses, the ones on every street corner, actually manage to survive? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Kenya's economy and look at a secret strategy that just might be the key to it all. Okay, so here's the big puzzle. In Kenya, these tiny businesses, these micro enterprises are everything. They're the engine that makes the whole economy go. But, and this is a huge but, most of them don't even make it past their first few years. They just vanish. So what on earth is going on? So first, let's get a sense of the scale here. We're not talking about some small niche part of the economy. No way. We're talking about the absolute bedrock. These microenterprises, or MEs, are the lifeblood of the entire nation. Their importance really boils down to two huge things. First, they contribute a massive chunk to the country's GDP. And second, and this is arguably even more important, they are one of the biggest sources of jobs. I mean, these businesses are literally putting food on the table for millions of people. And yet, even though they're so incredibly vital, there's this shadow hanging over them. They're super fragile. The mortality rate, as the researchers call it, is just shockingly high. And that's not just a problem for the business owners, it's a real risk for the whole country's economy. So, if these businesses are so essential, what's taking them down? What's the main culprit forcing them to close up shop? Well, the research points a finger at one major villain in this whole story. And this is where the story gets really frustrating. People have tried to fix this. You've got the government, international donors, all sorts of private groups. They've all thrown money and resources at the problem. But when you look at the results, it's had basically zero effect. The businesses just keep failing. This quote from the research just lays it out there, plain and simple. Kimatu and Bichanga call it out directly. It's the intense, ruthless competition. Imagine a market where everyone's selling pretty much the same thing. It turns into this brutal fight for survival, and a lot of businesses just don't make it out. So, with this huge problem and no clear solution, a group of researchers decided to go on a hunt for an answer. They set up a study to see if there was some hidden advantage, a secret weapon that some businesses were using to survive this competitive battleground. So, they zoomed in on a specific group, 90 small knitting businesses in Kiambu County, Kenya. And they didn't just look at their profit and loss. No, they asked the owners a really crucial question. How are you actually competing? What's your game plan? Now, to make sense of all the answers, they pulled out a classic tool from the business strategy playbook developed by the legendary Michael Porter. His idea is that really there are only 3 basic ways to get a leg up on your competition. Let's quickly run through them. Okay, strategy number 1 is super straightforward. Just be the cheapest. This is what we call cost leadership. The entire goal is to cut your costs to the bone so you can offer the lowest price out there and attract all the bargain hunters. Strategy number 2 is differentiation. This is the opposite of being the cheapest. Here, you want to be different. Maybe your sweaters are made with way better wool, or they have a killer design, or you offer amazing customer service. You're giving people a reason to pick you that has nothing to do with price. And the third strategy is called focus. With this one, you don't even try to appeal to everybody. Instead, you find one small specific corner of the market, a niche, and you just completely own it. Maybe you only make sweaters for school uniforms, or you're the absolute best at making custom baby blankets. You become the go-to expert for that one specific thing. All right, so the researchers had their 3 strategies, and they had their data from all those knitting businesses. The million-dollar question was, did any of this actually matter? Did having a strategy make a real difference? And the answer was a huge, resounding yes. The findings were undeniable. There was a direct, significant link. Having a clear competitive strategy wasn't just some nice theory. It was a total game changer for these businesses. It affected their performance in really important ways. So, which of the 3 strategies was the most popular? When the researchers looked at what these surviving businesses were actually doing, one approach stood head and shoulders above the rest. And that winning strategy was focus. That's right. Instead of trying to be the cheapest or trying to be everything to everyone, the most common survival tactic was to find a specific niche and dominate it. Think about it. It makes so much sense. Don't just sell sweaters. Become the undisputed king of school uniform sweaters. They found their lane and they owned it. Now, a discovery like this is way more than just an interesting fact for a research paper. It's basically a blueprint for survival. And the study didn't just point out the winning strategy, it gave some really clear, practical advice based on what they found. So for the business owners themselves, the advice was pretty clear. Make hay while the sun shines. And when things get slow, double down on that niche strategy to stay afloat. And for the government and trainers, the message was just as direct. Forget the generic business advice. Start teaching these specific competitive strategies and work on creating rules that actually give these tiny businesses a fair fight. And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. Yeah, this study was about knitting businesses in one county in Kenya, but the lesson feels like it could apply to anyone, anywhere. It leaves us with this really powerful question. Whether you're selling sweaters in Kiambu or software in Silicon Valley, could it be that having a clear, focused strategy is the one thing that truly separates the businesses that just scrape by from the ones that actually, truly thrive?